I trusted him with all my heart. I believed every word he said. He promised me a future, a family, and a lifetime of love. But one day, a single message on his phone changed everything. The man I loved was living a double life. My heart shattered into pieces, and I wondered if I would ever be able to trust anyone again. This is the story of how the person I loved most became the person who hurt me the most. Titled Perfect Love. I still remember the day I met Daniel. The sun was shining brightly, and the small coffee shop near my office was crowded with people. I was standing in line, waiting for my coffee, when someone accidentally bumped into me. "I'm so sorry," a deep voice said. I turned around and saw a handsome young man with kind brown eyes. He smiled nervously. "It's okay," I replied. That simple moment changed my life. Daniel asked if he could buy me a coffee to apologize. We sat together for nearly an hour, talking about our dreams, our families, and our favorite books. Before leaving, he asked for my phone number. I gave it to him. That evening, he texted me. "Today was the best part of my day." I smiled at my phone. Soon, our conversations became longer. Good morning texts, good night texts, funny photos, long phone calls. Everything felt perfect. 3 months later, Daniel asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes without hesitation. For the next 2 years, he became my entire world. He remembered my birthday. He brought me flowers. He held my hand when I was scared. He told me he loved me every single day. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. Even my parents loved him. I truly believed I would marry him one day. I trusted him completely. But sometimes, life hides painful truths behind beautiful smiles. And I was about to discover one. One evening, Daniel came to my apartment after work. Something felt different. He seemed distracted. His phone kept buzzing. Every time it buzzed, he quickly turned the screen away from me. "Who keeps texting you?" I asked. "No one important," he replied. His answer felt strange, but I trusted him, so I ignored the uneasy feeling inside my heart. A week later, we went out for dinner. While Daniel was in the restroom, his phone lit up on the table. A message appeared on the screen. My eyes froze. The message said, "I miss you already. Last night was amazing." My heart stopped. I stared at the screen. I couldn't breathe. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe. But deep inside, I already knew. Something was terribly wrong. When Daniel returned to the table, I looked directly into his eyes. "Who sent that message?" His face instantly turned pale. For the first time since I met him, he looked afraid. And that was the moment my world began to fall apart. The truth I never wanted to know. Daniel sat silently across from me. The color had disappeared from his face. I repeated my question. "Who sent that message?" For a few seconds, he said nothing. Then he forced a weak smile. "It's just a friend." A friend. My heart sank. No friend sends messages like that. I looked directly into his eyes. "Don't lie to me." The restaurant suddenly felt quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat. Daniel lowered his head. "I can explain." Those 4 words terrified me. People only say, "I can explain" when they've done something wrong. Tears filled my eyes. "Then, explain." "There is someone else." My entire body froze. The words hit me like a truck. There is someone else. The man I loved. The man I trusted. The man who promised me a future. He was admitting that another woman existed. I felt as if the ground beneath me had disappeared. "How long?" I whispered. Daniel couldn't look at me. 6 months. For 6 months, he had kissed me. For 6 months, he had told me he loved me. For 6 months, he had lied every single day. Tears rolled down my cheeks. "Who is she?" "A woman from work." I laughed bitterly, not because anything was funny, because my heart was breaking. All those late meetings, all those canceled plans, now they suddenly made sense. I stood up from my chair. People in the restaurant turned to look. I didn't care. "Did you ever love me?" Daniel's eyes filled with tears.
Of course, I loved you.
Loved. Past tense. The words stabbed my heart. He remained silent because there was no answer, no excuse, and he had chosen someone else. I left the restaurant without saying another word. Outside, rain had started falling. I walked alone through the dark streets, my tears mixed with the rain. Our first date, our first vacation, the plans we made for the future. Were any of those moments real? Or had they all been lies? That night I cried myself to sleep. The next morning was even worse. I woke up hoping it had all been a nightmare. But reality quickly returned. My phone was filled with messages from Daniel. I'm sorry. Please talk to me. I made a mistake. I love you. I read every message. Then I deleted them all because no amount of apologies could erase the pain. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. But the heartbreak remained. I stopped smiling. I stopped going out. I stopped believing in love. Every time I looked in the mirror, I asked myself the same question. What was wrong with me? Why wasn't I enough? Why did he choose her? Why did he throw away everything we had? The questions haunted me every day until one afternoon, something unexpected happened. Something that would change my life forever. While sitting alone in a park, an elderly woman sat beside me. She noticed my tears. Then she said something that I would never forget. Sometimes people break your heart because they are broken themselves. I looked at her in surprise. She smiled gently. And one day, you'll realize that losing the wrong person was actually the beginning of finding yourself. At that moment, I didn't fully understand her words, but they were about to become the most important lesson of my life. The elderly woman's words stayed in my mind for days. Losing the wrong person was the beginning of finding yourself. At first, I didn't believe her. How could losing the person I loved be a good thing? How could all this pain help me? But slowly, something inside me began to change. I realized that for 2 years, my happiness had depended on Daniel. I had built my entire world around him. His texts made me happy. His attention made me feel valuable. His love made me feel complete. And when he left, I felt like I had lost myself. That was when I understood something important. I had spent so much time loving him that I had forgotten to love myself. So, I made a decision. A difficult decision. I decided to rebuild my life, one small step at a time. I started going for morning walks. At first, it felt pointless. But every day, I walked a little farther. The fresh air cleared my mind. The sunlight warmed my face. And for the first time in months, I felt a tiny spark of hope. I joined a local book club. I started reading again. I spent more time with my family. I laughed with friends I had neglected during my relationship. Slowly, the darkness inside me began to fade. The healing wasn't fast. Some days were still terrible. Some nights, I cried myself to sleep. Some mornings, I missed him so much that my chest hurt. But I kept moving forward. Because healing isn't about forgetting. It's about learning to live without the person who hurt you. One afternoon, nearly a year after our breakup, my phone rang. The name on the screen shocked me. Daniel. I stared at it for several seconds. Then I answered. Hello? His voice sounded different. Older. Sada, how are you? He asked. I'm good. And for the first time, I truly meant it. There was a long silence. Then he spoke. I miss you. I closed my eyes. A year ago, those words would have meant everything to me. Now, they meant nothing.
Why are you calling?
I asked. Daniel sighed. The relationship with her ended. I wasn't surprised. The same way someone enters a relationship often becomes the way they leave it. I made the biggest mistake of my life, he said. I listened quietly. I hurt the best person I ever knew. Tears filled his voice.